Hello and welcome back to our channel. I'm Claire, I am Max's mum, and I'm Jake's wife, and I'm Courtney's mum. And if you are new to our channel, we're a family of 4. Our son Max has ASD. My husband Jake is on the waiting list for an Asperger's assessment. And we are planning our sailing adventures. So if any of that interests you, you're in the right place. Keep watching, because that's kind of what we talk about on this channel. We did a video. I'm sat in the car, as you can probably see. We did a video a couple of weeks back, and it was pretty much based in the car. The reason for that is because Max went back to school. He went back to school for a whole 30 minutes. So we had nothing to do other than sit in the car. I will leave the video below and explains why he was only at school for 30 minutes and why we sat in the car. So I'll leave that below if you do want to watch it. But today is another one of those days. Maximus is at school for 1 hour today. And because we live 40 minutes away from Max's school, there is no time or no point in driving all the way home. So I've decided to go shopping in Sainsbury's, which is really close to Max's school. There's some kids yelling over the other side of the car park. So apologies if you can hear that. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be where they are, but there we are. Kids will be kids. So Max has just gone back to school for an hour, so I am going shopping. But before, I thought I would spend some time doing some filming in the car. It's not very often. We don't have Max with us at the moment. He has been obviously off school due to COVID-19. And because he does go to a special school, integrating him back into school has been kind of non-existent. We are not key workers, Jake or I, and we've both been able to work from home, so it's just made sense to have Max at home with us, and it's worked out really, really well. So that's why he hasn't been at school for very long, but it hasn't given us much chance to do any real conversations about his condition, I want to say, his disability, his way of life, whatever you want to categorise it as. Max was diagnosed with ASD at age 5. I do have a video, there's some previous videos about the journey. There's a birth to diagnosis video, an after diagnosis video. I also have done videos on this channel about echolalia and palilalia. So I will link the echolalia video down. It's very, very popular with parents of children on the spectrum. So check that video out as well if that interests you. But today I'm going to be talking about the secondary journey that we're having with Max for a diagnosis or potential diagnosis of ADHD, which I believe stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. I may have got that wrong, but I think that's right. Now Max is now 8, so we've had his diagnosis for a few years. We've kind of come to terms with it. It doesn't really make a difference to our lives, having the diagnosis, that is, because we've been living with Max and the way he is since the day he was born. If you do watch the birth to diagnosis video, you'll see that it was around about age 2 that things started to really stand out, that there was something non-typical with Max. So we've come to terms with ASD and autism and the facts that Max is on the spectrum, and that we just have this way of life now, and that, you know, we actually quite enjoy Max the way he is. He's completely unique, and in some elements, some aspects of life, he is a genius. So, you know, we just embrace everything that autism chucks our way, the good and the bad. But last year, whilst Max was at school, his teacher mentioned to us a few times about ADHD and Max being, you know, having fleeting eye movements and not being able to sit still, not being able to walk down a corridor without literally bouncing off of the walls. And I found that really difficult, because I've never thought that Max did have ADHD. So I was quite upset by it, and almost a bit offended by it as well, when these conversations started coming out. But then the more I looked into it and started observing Max more, I thought, well, perhaps there is something to look at here. So in the end, Jake and I, after lots of conversations, we decided that we were going to go down the assessment route, and just have him assessed, because the chances are he may have ADHD or he may not have ADHD, and all of what is going on is purely because of his autism. So we've put the referral in, and it was rejected straight away, because there was no evidence that would suggest that he had ADHD. Now, I think at that time that was likely due to me being so against it. I didn't necessarily put as much effort into the forms as I should have. I didn't neglect to put anything on there, but I don't think I put enough information on there to give a true reflection of Max's, you know, abilities and issues. So the school contacted us again, and you know, and mentioned all of these things that were going on, and we re-referred. So we did the referral again, and submitted evidence from the school, and I put my, you know, more embellished thoughts, not embellished, that's the wrong word, but more detailed observations and experiences of what Max gets up to every day. And we finally received a letter to say, this was about 2 weeks ago now, we've finally, after probably a few months, albeit we have had COVID-19 hit the globe, so I understand that that's been slow, but the letter states we have to wait 2 years for his assessment. It's a 2-year waiting list, which just goes to show how massively underfunded these parts of the NHS and children's services are. It's crazy that you have to wait that long. For us, it doesn't make a difference. Nothing for us is really going to change, you know. For a lot of people, and I know that this is a bit of a taboo subject, but a lot of people who are in a position where they or their children are affected by a disability, finances are a massive part of that package of life that gets thrown at you. So a lot of people rely on diagnosis and doctor's reports to support their claims for, you know, DLA or personal independence payments, or, you know, that kind of universal credits. So I completely understand why this is a massive issue for some people. To have to wait 2 years to be able to even think about claiming some of these payments to support the additional needs that you or your child would need, that must be really, really difficult. We are so lucky we're not in that position with Max at all. You know, we both work full time, and between us we are able to flexi work and look after Max as well. So for us, the only thing that has been suggested to do with ADHD that could potentially help Max is medication. Now, when Max, about probably 2 years ago now, Max wasn't sleeping at all. So we eventually, after speaking to the paediatrician and the children's nurse, we obtained a prescription for melatonin, which there's a whole other video about melatonin, but for the purposes of this one, we were petrified of giving Max any form of medication. In his entire life he'd only ever had Calpol, but after 2 sleepless nights as parents wondering how this medication will affect him, by day 3 we were over the moon that we could actually sleep again. So yeah, for 2 years now Max has taken melatonin every single night, and it has helped him sleep, and it's been amazing. To give him something for ADHD, for me, that is a whole different ball game. I don't even know what the drugs would be. I haven't even looked into them, because the thought of it terrifies me. From what I understand, they will physically alter his actions and personality. So I guess they will calm him down so that he can focus and not have to get up and run every 5 minutes, and, you know, he'll stop being able to move so rapidly, and he'll be able to be more streamlined. And all of that sounds well and good, but that's not who Max is. And I don't know what the right thing to do there is. And Jake and I feel exactly the same about this. It's really, really difficult. It's a really difficult conversation to have. It's a difficult decision to make as a parent. But as far as I'm concerned at this stage, that I wouldn't be giving Max medication to alter his state. If anything, we'll always try and implement changes to routines and lifestyle first, because when Max is focused, he's absolutely incredible. He can do things that most adults can't in terms of computers and technology, but then he struggles having a conversation with somebody, so we'll work on the social skills, and then we'll work on sitting down and walking in a straight line, rather than just kind of dosing him up with a drug. Don't know, it's a bit of it, like I said, it's a controversial conversation, but that's kind of where we're at the moment. Do you have any experiences, advice to do with any sort of ADHD diagnosis or medication? We would love to know, because it's so new to us. It doesn't feel very comfortable. So we would love to hear other people's experiences of being at this kind of stage, the diagnosis stage, and where that leads. With the autism, it was I mean, I've put it in the other video, which I've linked below, but with the autism diagnosis, it was more like, we are not going mad as parents. There is actually something going on with Max that's not typical. But for this one, it feels very different. We feel a little bit on edge with it all. So yeah, we would love to hear people's advice and experiences. We really would love to hear from you. So that's our kind of journey so far. We will do an updated video once we know more. That may well have to be in a couple of years' time now, once we've moved up the waiting list. But like I said, we'll keep you updated. If you do have any tips or advice, we would love to know. Feel free to leave your comments below or get in contact over on Instagram. We do have an Instagram page as well, which is ASD by the Sea, and updates generally go on there a lot quicker than they do on YouTube. So if you kind of want real-time updates of what we're up to as a family, head over there and you'll find out. But thank you so much for watching today's video, albeit me sat in the car rambling about medication and diagnosis. I hope it's been helpful for anyone who is kind of at the same stage or slightly behind in that stage, or just thinking that there could be something to do with ADHD or autism. If you want the journey up to diagnosis for ASD and autism, then feel free to check out the video that's linked below. That's it from me, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye.